Yeah, so I mean, Venezuela government-wise has been kind of a revolving door of different ideals. So there was a dictatorship at one time that kind of fell out of power, and then, democracy has kind of played its role there for quite a while. But Hugo Chavez is the one that's very popular. He's the one that's very well known and didn't like Americans very much, and had his own ideals of what he wanted the República Bolivariana of Venezuela to be. So he had this idea of getting back to a core constitution that was more in tune with the ideals of Simón Bolívar and how Venezuela was started as a country. So he took power in the late 90s. He was a military leader. Kind of tried to do a coup d'état to take over the government of Venezuela, and eventually was elected. And then through his power kind of made it so that he was the de facto leader of Venezuela for as long as he pretty much wanted to be. So it's not a dictatorship, it's a socialist regime where he kind of tried to take everything. So when I was down there, late 2002 is when he wanted to nationalize everything. So before that, there was American company, Chevron and Exxon were down there running the oil refineries and working with the Venezuelan government. And when I was there in 2002, he shut all that down, kicked all the Americans out, and wanted to nationalize the oil reserve in Venezuela. So there was a paro nacional, a national stoppage of imports and exports. So I was living in the middle of the Andes. It was about a 15-minute bus ride. We took buses everywhere, buses and little carritos, which were taxis that you could get in and out of, and you fit as many people as you could in these little cars. So we had to take a 15-minute bus ride up into the mountains into our area, but it was really hard because what they had done was shut down the oil refineries. So there was 2-mile long lines just to get gas in your car. So there would be some days where we wouldn't have a bus or a taxi come by to get us for an hour or so to bring us up to our area, and then the same thing to get home. We had to wait quite a while to get home, just because they had stopped everything and nationalized everything. So we had to save up food storage, and the grocery stores ran out of groceries, and they shut restaurants down. Some McDonald's and Wendy's were closed for quite some time just because they weren't getting things in. So I tread lightly on the Chavez topic because there's a lot of members that were pro-Chavez. There was a lot of members that were anti-Chavez, and great people on both sides. So depending on your ideal, you either supported or were against. His main thing was he wanted to spread the wealth out. There was far too much poverty in Venezuela, and he wanted to do something to help with that. So he started building a lot of houses and trying to do that, but I don't know if it worked or not. Depending on who you ask, it did work. Depending on who you ask, it really didn't. So when he got sick and lost power, he kind of handpicked successor, Nicolas Maduro, who's the president down there right now. His handpicked successor, who he got to put in, and it's kind of spiraled from there. So now, the government down there is kind of shut everything down. Inflation's really high. It's hard to get groceries. It's hard to get diapers. It's hard to get medicine. Hard to get everything. So if you read, news stories, you can kind of figure that out for yourself. And the only thing that I've really gained is, from people that I've talked to. So majority of, companions or friends from the mission who have had to leave, just because the situation was so hard, and people who are still trying to leave are still trying to make the best of what's going on down there. So yeah, just that socialist government where they want everything to be nationalized and want to do everything themselves, but it just seems like it hasn't really worked the way that they thought it would. So yeah, you just kind of read stories and help where you can, and as a mission, friends from our mission, we're trying to do our part. We have a Facebook page for our mission where if people are looking for help, we can try to find ways to get supplies down or help. We've helped different friends with plane tickets to go to Peru or wherever they're going. A lot of members have gone to Colombia or Peru or come to the States. So yeah, I mean, I wish I fully understood the situation down there. I try to read as much as I can to kind of keep up on the topics, but it seems like unless you know, talk to somebody about what life is like really down there, you don't really know. So, yeah.